Hi, I'm Michael LaFosse from the Origami Dough Studio, and this wonderful project is a flower designed by our friend Kyoko Kondo. It's from a single octagonal piece of paper, so it's an octagon. If you use paper that's colored and patterned differently on each side, you get a terrific effect because it's fully three-dimensional. Begin white side up, corner to corner, and unfold. Rotate the paper 90 degrees and fold in half, corner to corner again. Now at this point with the triangle shape, the color that's on the outside is going to be inside the petals later on. Turn the paper over to the other side squarewise and fold edge to edge. And unfold. Flatten the paper, rotate 90 degrees, and fold in half edge to edge the other way. And as you can see, the red color is on the inside of my paper. It's going to end up inside the petals. The 4 folds you just placed in the paper will allow you to easily make this shape. What we're trying to do is collapse the paper into what's known as the preliminary form or the preliminary base. Another way of doing it would be to have use of your creases, valleys, and mountains this way, and collapse in and down and flatten. As we have raw edges, which are cut edges. I have those at the bottom, that's where it opens. And we have folded edges, they happen to be at the top. We're going to be doing something called squash folding, which will look like this. If you're new to squash folding, use this helpful pre-crease. Take the long folded edge, which is at the top of the paper here, and align it to the crease. You can rotate the paper for comfort so that you can put the crease in accurately, aligning it first and then flattening. Make a good sharp crease. This crease is meant to help you for your squash fold. Unfold and flatten that. You can reverse this crease as well. Making it flexible makes your squash fold even easier. Now to make an actual squash fold, you need to find the open end where the raw edges are. Open the paper like a cone. You can see here how it opens all the way inside. Move the center crease in line with the vertical center and flatten the shape. You'll get this triangle and kite form. We have to do the same thing to the remaining 3 flaps. The best thing to do is to turn the paper over to the other side to get to the center back one, which is here. And here's what a squash fold looks like when done directly. Simply open the cone. Here's your center alignment crease. Keep the folded edges together. They may want to splay. Hold them together with one hand while you gradually flatten the center crease down. And once that's in place, flatten the perimeter, and there's the shape. To get to the remaining 2, we turn pages. For instance, this top page on the right gets turned over to the left. Just one layer is all we need. And then we can get right to this one. Again, I'm going to use the direct squash fold method. And just as we turned the paper over to get to the second one, you'll need to turn the paper over to get to the 4th one. Turn the paper over, and that will allow turning one page from right to left instead of several if we left it on the other side. Here's the last page. Open, align, and squash. From here, you can cut the paper to make an octagon. You could cut all of these layers right across here with the scissors all at once, or you can open the paper completely, flatten it out, and then look for these kite shapes, which are at the corners. Notice the crease ends defining the longer edges of the kite. If you cut straight across to there, you will be able to trim the edges. One way to do this would be with a ruler and a pencil line or a razor blade. Another way to do this without the ruler is to fold the square corner over until the folded edge that you're about to make spans the 2 crease ends that I showed you earlier. That will give you a line without need of a ruler or a pencil. You could fold and tear, or you could use scissors and cut along the line. When you do that to each of the four corners, the result will be a nice equilateral octagon like this. And we have all of our radial pleats. From here, we develop the folding, which will create the flower. Have one of the flat edges of the octagon be the very bottom edge, and notice the horizontal center crease. We're going to bring the two together. Bottom edge to horizontal crease. Another thing to be aware of is the vertical crease. Make sure it aligns with itself, continuing up like this. And that way you're going to get a perpendicular registration. Fold only between the two crease lines here and here, and you'll see you'll get a line segment that spans just within the kite. You're going to go ahead and rotate the paper and do it again 7 more times. It doesn't take long. Rotate, place, crease. What we're doing is putting a perimeter in the shape of an octagon with creases inside the outermost octagon. And this is going to be flattened and then brought up in the center as the sides collapse. The best way to do this is to make sure that all 8 of these creases are installed and make sure they're nice and sharp. A good way to be doubly sure that they're sharp is to turn the paper over to the other side. And look what I'm doing here. I am focusing my attention on these corner pleats, because folding them in half lets me sharpen the vertices on my octagon, which will also let me flatten the octagon. Here's what the inside starts to look like. It looks like some kind of a fancy paper candy dish. Notice that on this side, these are valley creases going from the floor to the corners. And we want mountain creases on the inside, which will go from the floor to the middle of the edges. A good way to handle the collapsing of this is to turn it back over and start pinching each of the inner octagon's vertices in half. Just sequentially go around, pinch opposite corners in half, and then start to walk them inward by pinching further and further. As you can see, I'm starting to make an octagonal, almost really star-shaped funnel, and this is happening on the underside. Once again, take a look at the results on the top. So, as I neatly and carefully sharpen each of these creases, which are already in the paper, I'm just making sure that they're bending the correct way and that they all meet at a common focus. I am creating a little pleated form which I can flatten. I want to do this symmetrically. I want 4 of these pages on the right side, and I want the remaining 4 flat together on the left. Here you can see the very center of the bottom has come right up to the top. And then gently flatten the shape. And we have a trapezoid with many layers. Each one of these pages is going to be treated to make a petal and a little base form. I'm going to move to a larger model of this stage to give you a better view, and I'm going to detail just how to do one of these pages. So first, notice that you have a vertical center crease here, and the top long set of raw edges, which are 2 together per page, will be folded to align with the vertical crease. And you'll create a triangular flap, which has 2 folded edges, one short and one long, and one set of raw edges together here. Bring the set of long raw edges together over to the longest folded edge, creating a new shape for your triangle flap and more layers. Notice the shortest edge of the triangle flap fold it tightly over and onto the outermost edge of the triangle. Now these are pre-creases, so they're done in advance of their real use later on. And make sure they're good and sharp. Down here at the bottom, I'd like for you to notice we have this obtuse corner, and we also still have the vertical crease which hits the bottom edge. We're going to fold this bottom corner up. And to know just where to do that, for a moment, rub your finger here to burnish the paper and have a little embossed line show up. There's folded edges under there, and you can use that line for placement of this corner. Make a good sharp crease. This little triangle flap has two edges here. We're going to produce a spread squash shape by first opening the two layers, and if you put your finger inside there, it will start to expand the open end. Notice the folded spine at the top. Tap and spread that out. So now we have a hollow cone shape, which can then be flattened symmetrically to finish this rhombus. And so we have what's called a spread squash. Now let's continue with making the petal up here at the top. Unfold the triangle flap, and I want you to realize that this folded edge is a hinge for this flap. So stand the flap straight up on the hinge. Once that is vertical, open where the top edges are, all the way to the cone bottom down here. This is what it looks like inside. I want you to pay attention to the creases which are here on the shape. There's a crease across here horizontally. There are some which come up at an angle to the top, and one vertical which meets those two at the center edge. Begin to flatten the cone down here, following the creases until you hit the hinge horizontally here. Now, touch the part of the petal where all the creases meet and just gently bend it down. You want to be sure that these left and right angled edges are working to fold as well. And then flatten the shape. You'll get a split open kite shape. And a free point here, which is the petal. This is a petal fold in origami. To finish the bottom, take the top half of the rhombus and fold it down. You can see it kicks out a little bit. To make the other half kick out, turn the page over and simply toggle it up with a fold and bring it back down. So that's like a little foot. And here, where we have the petal again, we want to toggle this over on its hinge line, which is here. Grab the paper, flip it over, toggle, back and forth a couple of times, and you can leave everything flat. You're going to do all the same folding on the left side. You turn the paper over to the back, do left and right, and then turn pages like this to sequentially get at the other layers. Once you're done with that, you're going to organize the paper so that it's radially symmetrical. Notice how this is opened at the bottom, and the layers have all been organized in an 8-direction pattern. And from the top view, each of these petals are put 90 degrees to each vein and then opened. You can just push a little bit like this to open each of the petals. One last thing is to open up the little center part. If you hold left and right on opposite ones and pull out a little bit and switch your grip, keep going around until you have done this 4 times, it will neatly open up a little center for your flower. And here we have this beautiful little Kyoko's flower. It's a great skill builder. Please try it. I know you'll enjoy it.